Kathy Adams is the president of the Texas chapter of the Eagle Forum. She's also on several other national boards and has been to many United Nations meetings, many different other meetings where they're pushing the whole New World Order globalist agenda. We are honored to have her in studio, and I do want to spend some time in this hour with her talking about other issues that she's been exposing and fighting as she's defending our sovereignty. But if you read the articles in Reuters and the Associated Press and the Washington Times and all over the place, you keep seeing her name pop up because she's right here in Texas. She is effectively fighting our governor, Mr. Open Borders, big government, phony conservative Rick Perry, who is on the payroll of Big Pharma, and his former chief of staff is on the payroll of Big Pharma, as well as this front group, this women's group, as they call it. Oh, it's for the women, in quotes, who's out pushing this, and they have the governor puts out a young, intelligent, 20-something-year-old spokesperson about how great this is and all the girls need it. They're talking about girls as young as 9 getting it. The governor's recommending 10 to 11. It is a live virus. Tell us, again, for stations that just joined us, a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in this, what we're facing, and just run down the gamut in a nutshell in about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll detail more of that. But if you were, say we're on national television right now, and you had 5 minutes to lay it out, what would you say to the American people about this live cancer virus that they want to try to force our girls to take?
Well, I think that the thing that is most onerous about this is that it's being presented as a preventative of cancer caused by an HPV virus. The fact is that there are more than 100 strains of HPV, and this Gardisil vaccine for HPV only guards against or targets 4 of those strains. So if a young girl has one of those other 100 strains of the vaccine, and they're very different, as a matter of fact, from one country to another. So those along our border coming up from Mexico would be a bit different than they might be in the northern part of Texas. And so this vaccine has been presented as a prevention for cancer, and there's no way that that kind of claim can be made. As a matter of fact, when you look at the fine print being put out by Merck, the company that produces this Gardasil vaccine for HPV, they don't make the claim that it prevents cancer. They cannot. And as a matter of fact, the same company is being sued because of how they misled people concerning another one of their drugs. And so I think what they're doing is they're trying to help pay for Vioxx, the name of their other drug, that they've lost a lawsuit in the court of law because they were misleading patients. And so now with a vaccine, and especially with a mandated vaccine, that cannot come under the same kind of law that has been concerning the Vioxx vaccine. So they can help pay for Vioxx, HPV, instead of human papillomavirus preventing. Because, as I say, there are more than 100 strains. There are only 4 that are being targeted. And another uniqueness about this vaccine is the fact that for the first time they are taking a genetically altered virus and introducing it into a human body. This is new and different, and really no one knows what's going to happen with that. Furthermore, I think it's really interesting to note that if you go online, you'll find that there are 80-some cases of reactions to this vaccine. But the group that follows vaccines nationwide has found now that there are 385 of these kind of reactions, and that's with a vaccine that was approved only last June. And
there's been limited use so far, as
yes.
you just pointed out.
Yes.
This just started in June, and normally, historically, the numbers later will be much higher because doctors don't know what they're looking for right now. As this problem progresses and gets much worse, as the indicators are showing, then we're going to see a lot more reporting on it.
That's right, and the vaccine itself was just approved by the FDA only after a 6-month review and a 4-year test just last June. And so now Texas would be the very first state in the nation for a mandate. Once you have a mandate, then parents believe that someone must know more than what they do, someone must be smarter than what they are, and so when they go to the physician says this is a mandated vaccine, then the parent is going to step out of the way and say, Well, I want my child to be protected from that. And so this whole mandate idea is very much a ruse, and it will, for the first time, cause our little girls in Texas to become experiments for a nationwide plan.
And the New York Times is reporting that over 20 states are now lining up saying they're going to do it as well. So Rick Perry basically is trying to pull some of his buddies' bacon out of the fire. Merck also has massive funding federally and in every other state in the union. And do we have numbers on how many state legislators here in Texas have been paid by Merck?
I don't know that. This Women in Government group, though, the state leader for Texas, is the chairman of our Public Health Committee, which is very suspect as well. Because when you have the chairman of the Public Health Committee, part of the Women in Government, that is funded by Merck.
That's on record that she's got a lot from them.
Yes, and then you start following the money. And then you also recognize that her daughter-in-law is the governor's chief of staff, and then the current lobbyist for Merck is the former chief of staff, and things get very, very suspect. But let me also
this is a web.
Yes, it is a web. And our governor is seeking actually $29 million in state money in order to mandate this, as well as $43 million in federal dollars in order to mandate this.
Now, let's be clear. Last week I was saying $360 roughly to get it. The New York Times is now reporting upwards of $400. I mean, is it $360 or $400?
It is going to be the upper end. And let me tell you, the numbers that were coming out originally were $160 just for the vaccine cost itself. I've spoken with a person who works in a public clinic in Lubbock, Texas, who would be administering this at $225 per shot, plus a $50 fee to administer it.
So that's $900 because there's three shots.
Yes, that's right. And so we
are... Oh my gosh, this is big money.
This is the most expensive vaccine on the market.
$900?
Yes, the most expensive vaccine on the market.
$250 plus a $50 clinic charge per injection, pre-injections, 3 times $300, $900.
That's right. And so when you follow the money, it is very suspect that this is anything other than, when you figure there is no health crisis, you figure the number of cervical cancer cases per year is less than 4,000. And my heart goes out to the women who have cervical cancer, especially those who are innocent victims, those who have husbands who are unfaithful,
but still,
for example.
4,000 out of 300 million people.
We're looking
150 million women, that's nothing.
Well, when you look at the fact that it represents 0.007% of the new cancer cases per year, we're talking about something that is not a crisis.
Okay, now let me walk through this. I don't know if we'll play these clips today, but 2 weeks ago we did. Local newscasts, national newscasts. There were so many lies that I was filling sheets of paper, just trying to go over them all. First, they claimed that it's 9,716 cases in the year, but then you read deeper, it was 9,700 and something women that had the virus when they were tested, and as you said, it looks like it's really right around 4,000 that have actually died. We're talking a couple hundred in the state of Texas. It's a very treatable cancer. Then Merck admits on their own website that this doesn't even treat the cancer, that it might help with some forms when there's hundreds of strains of the papilloma. Then they lie about the cost. First it's 360, now it's 400. You call somebody at a clinic, they tell you no, 900.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
Yes, it is. And also it's interesting to note that while the governor is saying this is going to be a cancer prevention, which even Merck, Gardisil, does not make such a claim, but one of the other strains that it does target, among the 4 strains only, is one that creates or would produce genital warts. And some of these are like cauliflower shaped. I mean, it's really gross. So why in the world are you going to say to a young girl that this is a prevention for cancer, when really what you're doing is causing her to think that she has a sense of security, a security against a cancer or against something else that could even be more gross.
When in truth it only covers a few strains and there's hundreds, and so she's going to go out and...
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
And be unarmed, actually, thinking that she's protected. I mean, very obviously, if this would protect against 4 strains out of 100 of the HPV virus, what about AIDS? It doesn't protect against AIDS or the other nearly